Head coach Rich Rodriguez, we get set for week 2, game 2 of the 2017 season. The Houston Cougars coming to town for a 7:30 kickoff at Arizona Stadium. Hope to see everybody out there. And the Wildcats will go in with a 1-0 record after their victory over Northern Arizona Saturday. Congratulations, Coach. I know nothing better than getting off to a good start. What stood out for you about your team's performance against the Lumberjacks?
Well, I really thought we were ready to play mentally. You know, before the game, the guys were almost too excited. There was a lot of young guys and probably a little bit nervous, but they were ready to play a game, had a long training camp, and we didn't play well all the time. We played well enough at times to pull out the win, and it was a good effort, and we know we got to play a lot better going forward.
So what are some of the things that you are showing your team on film this week that you would like to see them do better?
Well, certainly we were tentative a little bit defensively, not from a tackling or effort standpoint, but from a mental standpoint. It seems like sometimes we were almost afraid to do certain things within the schemes. And I think with experience, or obviously getting the first game under our belt, that'll help. And then offensively, struggled early in the game, just from an execution standpoint. And the special teams I thought was solid, but at the same time, we haven't done a lot of live special teams. It's hard to do that in practice, and so we learned a lot about our units in that game.
We knew there was going to be a lot of new faces, and there were a lot of new faces that played in the game. Can you summarize as a whole how that, the true freshmen in particular, how they handled it?
I think handled it pretty well mentally. Athletically showed some things. Nerves showed at times as well. And again, I think sometimes when you're nervous or you're not sure, at times when your first game, you're afraid just to let it loose. But I was really pleased. I was encouraged by the number of guys that got a chance to play, one, and then two, what they can do going forward.
You mentioned special teams earlier, and saw a freshman who had a tremendous night kicking off, only one return. And I don't blame him. By that time, what was it, 10 or 11 kickoffs? You started, that leg's got to get tired. But the return game was also very solid. How big of a factor could that be?
Oh, that was huge. Sean Brown had a great camp, and we hadn't done a lot of live returns, of course, but you know, he's such a solid guy back there, and our guys did a good job. We actually had a block called, not a return, but you know, they did a nice job of not blocking guys in the back and help leading the way a little bit. And then the kick returns wasn't, I didn't think we executed very well, but TJ did take one of them past midfield later in the game, and he's a weapon as well. So we know we got some things to fix, and we changed a couple personnel things around, but for the most part, there's a lot of learning experiences that happened from that game.
You knew going in that you had good depth and experience at running back. Did all your guys there, and I think at least 4 played, were you happy with with their results?
Yeah, we had 5, and all of them ran pretty well and had some big plays. We wasn't sure we were going to play Nate Tilford because he's a freshman, but he's had a great camp, so I was happy to get him in there. And the other guys have all had some experience, and we were able to mix it up pretty evenly. And if we can keep all those guys healthy, it certainly bodes well throughout the season. That was obviously an area we struggled with last year, but so far we're pretty healthy there.
All right, one of the big questions this week is your team has a game under its belt. Houston does not, unfortunately. They had to postpone their first game. Advantage either way?
Well, it's hard to complain because of what they're going through in the city there. That you know, certainly I think it's for us, we'd rather have them see a game on film, and so you know exactly, particularly with a new staff. You don't really know for sure what they're going to do. You can just project and try to prepare for everything. So that makes it a little bit more difficult, but if you look at what they're going through and what they've been through from the standpoint, they've had to relocate a little bit for last week, and I think they've been settled in for over a week now. So they'll be ready to play, and our guys got to be able to adjust quickly.
All right. Cats and the Cougars coming up on a Saturday night at the stadium. Kickoff again at 7:30, and we're back right after this. Meet your Wildcat, Justin Belknap from Henderson, Nevada. Now, you like to be, are you from Henderson or are you from Las Vegas?
It's Henderson, but it's, you know, it's a little town right south of Vegas. You can see the strip from my house. It's a 5-minute drive.
So you like to separate yourself, though, and say...
Yeah, I mean, I like to separate myself because now before we didn't have too many people from Las Vegas, but now we have a lot of people from Vegas.
Okay, cool. Best part of playing football, what do you like?
I just love having the brotherhood and everything. I had one brother growing up, Jeffrey, and I learned a lot from him and stuff. And he always roughed me up and made me who I am today. But I love having all these brothers around me, and knowing that all of them have my back.
Well, since you live close to Las Vegas, you might have run into some famous people, but who's the most famous person you've ever met in your life?
Most famous person in my life? That's a hard one. I mean, one of my coaches, two of my coaches were NFL players, and I could say, I mean, that's pretty famous, but I really haven't met too many people that are that famous, honestly.
Hey, well, those are famous. You go to the NFL, you're famous. Okay, funniest teammate?
Funniest teammate? Tie between Jalen Cochran and Jamie Nunley.
Okay, they crack one-liners. What makes them funny?
Oh, they can crack one-liners and make any kind of situation funny. If it's it's a long day or something, long practice, and something comes up, they can make it funny.
Cool. If you weren't playing football, what sport would you play?
I played baseball until I was a sophomore in high school, and I played basketball, but it'd probably be baseball. I wasn't too great at basketball. I was more one of the bully guys, hustle guys in basketball.
When did you fall in love with football then?
I actually didn't really start loving football until I was a junior in high school. I got benched every time I played Pop Warner. I didn't play a lot on the field. I was moving positions and stuff, but junior year I finally found, defensive end was a good place for me, and I started falling in love with the game.
All right. Grass or turf? Do you have a favorite?
I like grass because turf just burns you when it gets too hot, and it just I like being on grass. I don't know why, I just do.
Okay. So have you played on the different types of turf? Like the new stuff now seems more like the real thing.
Yeah, I played on the old school turf, and it was like it was slipping everywhere. And I played on the the straight black beads turf, where you'll get black beads in your eyes and stuff. And then the turf out here, which is half that cork on the field, which is nice. Played on that, but I still just like old school grass.
Right. Toughest class you've had so far at the U of A?
Toughest class. Math 112 was really tough, and then accounting was pretty tough too.
But you made it through.
Made it through.
All right. He is Justin Belknap as we meet your Wildcat.